Yep. About literally, I'm presuming. I know it was released around early of the 2020s. Guilty Gear Strive was released around that time. I'm believing 2022. My memory is fuzzy, but you know what I'm talking about. And of course, it got a lot of success for justifiable reasons. However, what's interesting is that we had to wait for many years for also justifiable reasons, which I'll explain, until we finally get this thing on the freaking Switch. And honestly, that was like a dream come true to me because this is a type of game that honestly I wish I had my hands on, even because, as you might have guessed, even though I don't mind the other consoles, I am a Nintendo owner. I love freaking Pokemon. I did many videos of Pokemon. I have a Kirby shirt. I am a Nintendo person. I mean, I like all their Nintendo games, but I am a Nintendo person. So, getting Guilty Gear Strive on the Switch, at first, well, at least to me and a few other people who don't give a damn, basically, it was literally the most luckiest thing that could ever happen. It was like a wish granted. And again, an understandable, long waited wish. However, the biggest, many people, and the biggest catch here is, wanted to literally cut ARC's network system's balls off. That's not a lie. I know I might be over exaggerating, but over time, many videos across the web kept literally kind of dunking on the whole thing that it literally transferred to the Switch. And not because how long it took in, it's the reason why it took long, and also the reason why it might be a little bit meh that many people have been literally getting upset over. So this begs the question: is it really important about the graphics of the game, to say the least? And more importantly, even if you're unlucky like me who don't have a PS5 or Xbox, is this the perfect way to play Guilty Gear Strive? The answer is, for both, I actually have no fucking clue. In fact, just to clarify, this video is not only kind of giving my own personal thoughts on playing this game, but this is actually also a true first timer review because, again, I haven't had the game forever until now. Like, literally, I've been waiting for this day. So, I do want to make a review of this game. However, at the same time, I don't want to be truly blind over the discussion with it being transferred for Nintendo Switch, because to be fair, there is some justifiable understanding of worries about it. However, it's definitely a very weird situation to say the least. And this is coming from a person who, honestly, over time, I kind of see why people are upset when it comes to video game graphics. But at the same time, I'm not that type of guy who obviously care about graphics. So, if you want an actual literal review of this graphics and how it plays and functions, I highly recommend looking at a actual review. But I will tell what I do know and honestly tell what I feel about the situation alongside how I feel about Guilty Gear Strive as a whole after playing it. Which, to be fair, like I said, I have been literally deep down want to play this all the way. Like, I really do. So, first off, let's talk about what is Guilty Gear Strive. Guilty Gear Strive is obviously a fighting game, and it's like the recent entry of Guilty Gear. Sort of a, admittedly, but also I could be wrong by saying this, niche series, since it's not as big as most people would say, but it is kind of big. It is big enough to be notable. And admittedly, this game definitely helped thrust it. Think of it like Persona 5 in a way, where the Persona series, it was popular, especially with P4 beforehand, but it was still a niche kind of thing until Persona 5 came out and it blew the water to the point where people thought Persona 5 killed Shin Megami Tensei 5. So this is kind of the similar scenario in this regard. And to be fair, there's obvious reasons why this game is so popular. The art direction is so good. The music is so good. Like even before I got the game, I listened to the soundtracks. They're good. They're like literally good. You have to try them. Of course, not every track is going to be someone's cup of tea, but for the most part, there is a song that is pretty good. The way of how Guilty Gear went to be much more easier for people to handle it, which I can feel it. I can really tell and feel it because I haven't played a other Guilty Gear game ever. In fact, this is actually also my first Guilty Gear thing, but I can say with confidence with that, this is the best way to get into Guilty Gear gameplay wise because it's much more easier to handle. It tells you what your stats of the character is, if it's easy to use, and da da da. Although I will say how they explain how it's easy is kind of meh, but hey, it is easy. They tell you about the stats. Honestly, it really is user friendly for the gameplay wise. However, there is a lot of interesting things to note about. So first off, like recently, every other video fighting game, it has a animated story, a movie, so to speak. Now, believe it or not, even before getting this game, I already seen it. Like everyone's seen it online. There has been some reason taken down, probably because they don't want the same thing happening like Super Smash Bros. Brawl for some fucking reason. And the story is fine. I mean, honestly, it's just literally anime rip-off version of White House Down. Honestly, like many people been saying, but it's fine. It does its way to make it away from what it's ripping off and actually have a story connected to the whole entirety of Guilty Gear. And it's actually very interesting to see what they will continue to do once the next entry of Guilty Gear comes in, because it definitely they make sure to end it as a end of the story of the main characters, but continue on with a new set of brand new characters. And there seem like they're still going that route with the upcoming anime. However, the thing is, although this isn't really a downgrade, in fact, honestly, it's not too much worried, but it is worth noting that if you are going to get into the story, you definitely need to either A, read the glossary, which is definitely kind of not really recommended, but really also B, literally watch everything else about Guilty Gear, because in a way, it's similar to like most episodic video games, where the story picks up where it left off, and it's going to get super confusing when you start looking into this game, because there's a lot of things you have to know before getting into this thing. Like, there are even still some things I didn't know when first watching the movie, again, before I got the game, like literally again, but it is worth knowing so you can understand the story, because there are going to be jargon that you're not going to know about. But honestly, that's just the story part, and honestly, the only other meh thing I'll get into is the fact that just like the previous entry of Guilty Gear, they still use like the game models as the cutscenes. Not like it's a bad way, it still runs pretty well, but you know, an anime series finally happened now, which doubles down and prove how I don't understand how they didn't just animate it fully. Like, not just use the game models, but just animate it fully. Because it works, it's not bad, but it's definitely weird, honestly. However, the gameplay, like I said, is pretty good. It's pretty solid. Again, the art direction is good. Admittedly, you are going to have to learn how each character works, but again, it does warn you what character you can use and what don't you use for beginners. And honestly, one broken character I've been using, which admittedly, she is super broken, and she's actually the beginner one, which is weird, but whatever. But there is other things you can do. And this actually leads into one of the nitpicks I do have with the game, and that is when you get get the items, or the extra stuff, the extra content, like more music, more promotional art, and so on. The extras, as you will. Now, obviously, usually every video game has this, even Smash Brothers. And most of the time, when it comes to it, it's either going to be something like similar to that of Skullgirls, which they just release everything with a few things you got to unlock, but it really doesn't matter. Most of it is just story content and just a few bonus, but mostly just story content. Or it's going to be something like Smash Brothers, where you have to earn your money and then get it through there. And Guilty Gear is similar to that, like some of the others, where you actually do got to earn points and money to get the items. However, the way they did it was kind of mixed, to say the least, which is like a whole can of worms. Like, first off, you got to do something called fishing, and basically that's how you get your items, and they're separated all the way, which we'll get to that in a bit. Then, of course, you're only given random items like a gotcha game. Now, the good news is the way what I've seen so far, but someone can definitely correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know. But apparently, the more items you get, the more chances you'll still get it, and it's not like you're going to get the same two items at the same time. At least what I say. In fact, it helps further it. But the fact of the matter is that it's also a little bit jargon with the fact that two items are in the same category that shouldn't be. Like, for example, Avatar thing, we'll get to in a bit. And of course, the extras, like the songs and artwork I talked about, mixed together. That makes no sense at all. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but okay. At least the other two are fine, but one I'm barely going to use, and the other one, okay, I get that as well, but that was just annoyance to do. And that annoyance was the figurine art stuff. For those who don't know, the more you play the fish game and the more you look into the extras, you get this thing called the figurine stuff. Which, fun fact, this thumbnail of this video was actually made through it and stuff, and it's actually pretty fun. It's super duper fun. A little bit hard to manage, but you probably get used to it. I mean, it's similar to something like trophy displays in Smash Brothers, I say at least. Like, in Smash Brothers Brawl, or for Wii U and 3DS. But other than that, it's pretty good. It's solid. It has decent. But again, you have to unlock all the stuff for it, which is yee. And that's not even talking about the online hub network. So for some reason, instead of making a normal hub for normal to just get into connections, or at least something uniquely similar to something like other fighting games, it basically ends up to being a hub network where you build your avatar, have to walk around, then you gotta place your avatar and another person together, and you have to fight. Now, to be fair, it works fine, but it's definitely annoying. It's not like even something like Smash Bros., which similarly does have a little bit of a similarity, but I am willing to admit I'm probably wrong with the little bit of similarity part, because at least in Smash Brothers, especially also if you don't use the whole boxing ring thing they have, like arena thing, basically Smash Brothers can also get you in the fight very quickly. You don't have to use the arena thing. You only use the arena thing if you just want it more casually or something weirder with that. Here, it's like, it's just nonsense. It feels like they should have do something like what Skullgirls or Smash Brothers or any fighting game I played does. Does basically just make a menu, da-da-da, and all that. Like, it's cool. It gives more confidence. And honestly, it gives more meaning to the world. Not to mention, unlike most people, I don't mind the pixelated art style, although I can see why that's a negative. But it's so like yee. And there's other parts about it, it's like ugh. So good news is, at least I don't play too much of it. I have been actually playing it, believe it or not. It's fine. Just got my butt kicked a lot, but hey, I kick butt too, so it's fine. And I do think they do well with how they handled ranking, with the fighting thing, but then again, it's kind of really just mad and annoying. So I can see why many people don't like the online settings of Guilty Gear Strive for sure. Now, this leads into the biggest question though. Does it run properly? Um, yes, but only from me. And I'm not, like I said before, and I'll say it again, I'm not the type of person who could truly review this clearly without actually being into like little graphics. I'm not the type of guy. Now, to be fair, that doesn't mean I see problems when I do. It's just I have seen at least one comparison video side by side, but I cannot see anything other than it's not brighter than the other one question mark. And to be fair, this leads into why it took so long to get this on the Switch. Guilty Gear Strive is a big boy. It's literally filled with data and stuff. It had took literally a lot of editing to get this into Switch, programming to get it into Switch, because the Switch is not PlayStation 5 or Xbox. It's definitely not. Like, that's the reason why we're getting a freaking Switch 2, by the way. Is one of the reasons, because many developers had complained to Nintendo about that. And honestly, to say the least, this is even more bigger because there is one positive. This thing is actually up to date with all the DLCs. Well, except for one, but even then, they're also being updated with it, with the fact that they're going to make Queen Dizzy, the recent DLC character, free in February at time recording. So, yeah, every DLC so far is in here, and it's definitely shown that they are going to continue with the DLC like they did with the rest. So, we're going to have a more shorter season 4 pass than the other two of the Xbox and PlayStation, which, to be fair, yeah, I understand many people are annoyed with that, but come on, it's actually kind of honest. Like, look at what happened with Skullgirls. Skullgirls did the exact same thing. Yes, it is very different than Guilty Gear Strive, but they still did the exact same thing. And so did Blaze Blue Chronos Trigger or something like that. So, or whatever Blaze Blue subtitle is in this game. So, it's not really too much of a big deal. In fact, actually, I appreciate it. It's definitely improvement. But that's not the biggest issue on the thing. The issue is the graphic goes. So far, for me, coming from a guy who doesn't see graphics, but at the same time can understand the issues with that, because you don't want a game like freaking Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Like, I love Pokemon Scarlet Violet, but you don't need crap. Okay? And trust me, I even show you guys on this channel the crap that Scarlet and Violet had done. So I can understand the seriousness of this conversation. It's just I don't usually step my toes because I might say something wrong. But for the most part, being the fact that I played it, it is smooth enough. It is smooth enough. It's not like it's going to be glitchy. I played online, so it's not that bad online. I have proof of it too, because I actually posted on my one of my secondary channels, Gear Day, and playing just normally with the just by myself with a computer program, or what I supposedly do with my brother Brendan, actually, because we did it today, but don't want to get into that. But in short, it's fine. It runs fine. And honestly, I don't know about the online thing, or if you have to have your thing connected to continue, because I don't know if I don't think it's a cloud version, does it say, at least. It will block you out of several stuff without it, but for the most part, it's super fine. You can actually have fun with it. The arcade is fine. It can get tough, but I do believe you can edit that mode a little bit, and even then, honestly, it's just a fine. Like, if you just want to play it without trying to collect everything in the planet, and just want to play a arcade game of two people fighting each other with random anime characters, it's fine. It's actually fun. It's super fine and fun to do. Like, really, real talk. However, this is going to be weird. Well, I do think it's a great game. my opinion is it's going to get a B plus. It's going to get a B plus for me. The reason why is there are some few problems, though. Of course, with the whole online way, the online hub. You have to do fishing, the fishing gotcha, and all that gobbledygook. That all fine, but I will say the graphics are fine. So if you are forced to get this, I do highly recommend it because it's not like the worst everything in the world. But I would agree, if I'm wrong, I would agree just get the PlayStation 5 or Xbox version because it's probably better than this. I just don't know. But if you are forced to, it's not the end of the world because this plays fine as you think. It's smooth as butter with it. And honestly, I think it's still cool we finally got a Guilty Gear Strive. So, yeah. But anyways, this has been Fluxcat, snapping out of here. Bye-bye.